Hey guys, welcome to another lecture of Ace My Prep DuoLingo Masterclass. I am Pragya, co-founder and the head English and educational trainer at Ace My Prep. Amidst COVID, we are here to help you out and so that you can soar through this tough time and plan into your dream university. So we have had so many students who were doing their applications with us and who were in touch with us, who were demanded by their universities to give the Duolingo test instead of their traditional IELTS or TOEFL exam to continue their university admissions for the next intakes. So that's where we thought that while we help them out, we could also share our thoughts and make it easier for all you guys, and all the students can benefit from this course. We are actually here to ease in the Duolingo English test, and that is why we have gathered this series of practice tests and classes for you. So today in this lecture, we're going to talk about the overview and the pattern of the Duolingo test. First of all, it is very important to understand the different type of questions that are going to come and pop on your screen. So before you go on with the final exam, you should be absolutely clear on what kind of questions you can expect in the real exam, and that is why we are here. So we will go about the different type of questions that are going to come across. We will discuss each of them in details. Next, how are they going to actually appear? So we have attached screenshots of each and every type of questions, and then we will go about understanding the scoring pattern. So we will actually understand what is the difference between IELTS, TOEFL, and Duolingo, and what is the analogy between the different scores. Lastly, we will interpret these different scores and we will go through the scoring description for each of the scoring band, right? So first of all, what does the test involve? So at this moment, I would want just have a notebook and a pen with you. You can pause the video if you have to get a notebook for yourself, but going forward, just try to pen down all the things that I'm going to tell you. So in this particular slide, we have listed down all the type of questions that could come on your screen in the Duolingo test. So let's go and review each one of them one by one. First of all, listening to spoken words and selecting the real ones. So in this section, you will hear some words. They might be correct or incorrect. You have to listen to each and every word and mark the ones which are correct, right? The second is reviewing written words and selecting the real ones. In this section, you will see some of the words on your screen, and you have to select the ones which seem to be correct to you. You can go about checking the spellings, or maybe if that is a real word or not, right? Completing missing letters from a text. This section is actually quite interesting. This is something very peculiar about this test. So you will see a paragraph in which alphabets from every word of some of the words will be missing, and you have to fill them out. It might be a small word, it might be a conjunction, any random blanks would be there, and you have to fill that out. Next is describing an image in writing or aloud. So this section, you will see an image on your screen, and then you have to either write about it in the given time, or you have to maybe speak about it and record your voice. Next is recording yourself while saying a sentence. So in this section, you will see a sentence on the screen, and then you have to click on the record button while you repeat the sentence while you read it. Next is verbally answering a spoken question. So in this section, the question will be asked to you and you have to answer it by recording the answer. Next is responding in writing to a written question. So you will see a kind of a topic on the screen with some pointers, and you have to write about it for about 3 minutes. Next is typing out a statement that you hear. So in this section, you will hear a statement, you will hear an audio, and whatever you hear, you have to type it out in the tab that you find to answer in. So these are the basic type of questions that would occur in your exam, right? They all seem to be very different from your IELTS or the TOEFL, because Duolingo is actually testing your proficiency and knowledge in terms of vocabulary, and that's why people are quite worried about it as well. But we've got you covered. We'll have a good practice with this course, and don't worry about it. So first of all, what does the test involve? So in addition to all these sections that we have, just talked about, it also involves a video interview round in which you have to speak for 1 to 3 minutes on a topic you choose. There would be two topics, and also, this goes along with the test result to the university because and it will be a great addition to your application. So this is something which is in addition to your score calculation, but it actually gives the university a chance to know you better, to know your insights, and to evaluate you much better. So it's actually a very good thing for you. You can actually present yourself in a way you want and make leverage of it. So first of all, how long is the test? So it lasts somewhere between 45 to 60 minutes, and it does depend on your level of proficiency because the test is adaptive. So not many students understand how an adaptive test works. But if I take an example of IELTS, it is a non-adaptive test. The level of difficulty in the questions is predefined. But in this kind of test, the nature of the questions or the difficulty level of the question keeps on changing as you go on and proceed with the test. So previously, if you have marked a particular type of questions wrong, you will see that the same question would occur in an easy form in the next part, or vice versa. If you've attempted all every question of that particular type correct, then it is going to actually show you a level which is much harder than the previous one, right? So I hope it's clear, and we will also discuss it in the further lectures, so don't worry. So one basic question that all the students had been asking, and the main reason why we have come up with this course is, not many students are clear how do we prepare, since it is so different from your IELTS or the TOEFL exam, and there's not much that you can find on even internet. Uh, Studying about the Duolingo test. So how exactly can you prepare, right? So one thing is the Duolingo test is actually testing your real ability to communicate, your real ability of word usage, vocabulary, right? So it's not a method that you can crack with some tricks, but instead you have to overall improve your proficiency. You have to get better at English, lay a basic foundation, and that is all it is going to need, right? It is not something extravagant because the test level is not very extremely hard, but yes, an overall proficiency is needed, and that is how the course that is going to be attached, the practice test that you're going to go about in this course, which we will talk about once you complete all these 4 classes, will actually teach you. So in terms of reading, writing, and listening, which is quite similar to your IELTS test, you have to master these 3 basic areas. Other than this, how you need to exactly understand, prepare is understand the type of questions that you're being asked, right? So if you are not clear on the instructions, definitely you'll go about attempting a question wrongly, right? Second thing is you have to improve your overall English proficiency. The course and the practice test, which is a complete series which will help you master the Duolingo test, will be given to you once you complete these set of 4 lectures. So don't worry, we've gathered a lot of material and we've got you covered. So let us go about understanding every type of question in detail. So first of all, select correct words. So in this section, as you can see, I will just open up my whiteboard as well. Okay, so in this section, as you see, just be careful about select the correct words. So in this section, as you see, select the real words in the English list, right? So what you will have to do is you'll have to click on this button to hear an audio, and you, if that is a real word and find correct, you have to click here, right? Then you have to go about listening the second word by clicking here and mark if it's correct, right? And then you have to attempt all of these in series, and that is how you will attempt all of them. You have to have a look on the timer, which is 1 minute and 29 seconds. So just be careful about the timer as well. Right. So once you go about that, it will show you something like this. So once you select some of the options, like I've selected word two, the option will turn orange, and once you have marked every option that you find correct, you can click on the next button, right? So just take care about the timer, right? At the same time, so this is a real screenshot from one of our students, right? So that is how you need to attempt the first section. I hope it's clear. The next type of question is what you have to do is to hear and write. So basically, what you have to do is to press this audio button and you will hear a statement and you have to type it here. Again, focus on the time limit. At the same time, also focus on this, right? So you have a limited number of replays, right? So once you type a response, this will decrease to 1, and after you even replay it again, the replays would become 0, right? So this was another type of question. So this is an example from the previous. So this is how it will appear once you type it. You will be able to click on next and then go about it, right? So this type of question is where you have to fill in the passage, right? So in this passage, you see that some of the words they're incomplete like this, and a lot of words actually, right? So once you have a quick glance on this, it would seem to be quite difficult. But when once you start reading the sentence and the paragraph in a flow, it will actually become very very easy. Uh, Everything has to be in context, right? So that is the only trick you have to follow, where the words have to relate, right? So if I go about taking example, this is how you will be able to type, right? Again, just focus on the timer. You have 3 minutes to attempt this, and once you've attempted all, the option will become orange, and you'll be able to go to the next section. So here what you need to do is to select the correct words, right? So again, see the timer, focus on it. You see a list of words here. What you need to do is you have to mark the correct ones, right? So idealistic, yes, it's a word. So once you click on it, it will turn orange. It's not a word, it's a word, it's a word. And that is how you can just mark the ones you find correct and then go about clicking on next and go on to the next section. So this section is you have to speak the English word for each image that pops up, right? So this is the first page that you will see, and once you click on next, you'll have a serious deadline. So you have actually 3 seconds, and once you start speaking, you will see the record. Okay, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so you will see the record wave. This is an image of fire. So when you just see this image, you have to just go about fire, right? That is how exactly it needs to be attempted. It's as easy as that. So next section is write one or more sentences that describes an image, right? So you see an image here and you have to type it in this section, right? So this is an image of the rockets. You can just quickly type a response here and go about the next section. Record yourself saying the statement below. So this is the statement that you have to record, right? So once you click on record now, what it will do is, yes, it will show an option like this, which means it's recording, and you just have to read this sentence out loudly. It's as easy as that. It sounds very, very easy, right? The next section is write a passage. So you see a question here. You can see there's a longer timeline for this. You have about 5 minutes, and you have to quickly just read through this question. What I will suggest is, before you go out putting your response here, just gather your thoughts. Take about 30 seconds, gather a lot of thoughts, and then go about writing the response there. It will actually help you to write a good response. Also, what I would like you to focus on is the word limit. It's not actually a limit, it's a minimum limit, right? So there has to be minimum 50 words. Just be careful about it. Also, just see here, as you go about typing, you will see the words actually will automatically be counted there, and you don't have to count them manually. The next section is you have to prepare and speak for at least 30 seconds on this question below, right? So if I have, I'm just going to move to the next slide. Okay. So yeah, sorry. So once you click on record now, you will have time to speak about this, at least for 30 seconds, right? So that will be the time limit. And again, what I would suggest is in the first uh, while before you actually click on record now, just gather your thoughts for about 15 seconds. Plan it out so that you don't break your fluency later on once you click on record. The next type of question is not something that is actually calculated in your score, but it's something very important since it gives you a leverage to show to the university what you really are, how you are organically, right? So it's a good section. It's an interview and a writing sample. In the first round, once you click on next, it will show you something like this. We've made this screen blank because of some privacy issues for the student. So what you have to do is your head will, I'll use the other color. Wait, just give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, so maybe green. So here is where you just have to see, you have to adjust your face here, right? And it is also written here. Make sure you're centered in the camera frame, and they will actually watch your interview and give the results, right? So once you start, speaking, you have to speak for about 1 to 3 minutes, right? This is the question in front of you, on which you have to speak, and just focus. See this button, right? Not exactly a button, but look for this image when you're recording. If that image is a plain image, it is not showing any waves, it means it's not recording. So just focus on that all the time. Just focus on the camera. You should be in the center, right? The next section is again, it's the similar thing. I believe it's been repeated, but yeah. Also focus on the time limit. It's 3 minutes, right? So you have to be prepared. When you go about attempting this section, before that, just think before you just press on record randomly, and pen down your thoughts, maybe not exactly on a piece of paper, but in your brain, right? Have your thoughts collected. Okay, the next section is a writing sample. I'm just gonna change my pen back to black again. Okay, so the next section is a writing sample. You have a choice between two topics. Just go out reading them, reading both of them. Choose one of them. You have to choose one of them and speak on that particular topic. So whichever topic you choose, just make a good decision in terms of what are you more comfortable with, what on which can you give an example, because while you're giving an example, it tells the reviewer that you actually understood the question. So it's actually one of the most crucial trick in any kind of exam. Give examples. It brings a lot of credibility. So you will see something like this. You will see this area where you have to type, and the question would all the time be here. And you have to write for 5 minutes, right? This section is quite clear. Okay. So in terms of, I think we've covered all the questions, and you can, if you're still confused between any type of question, just go back to the video, from where I started telling you about different type of questions, and just watch it again. Pen them down alongside while you're learning right now, so that you can actually understand what's the difference. Okay. So scoring pattern. So this is something I lay emphasis on quite bullishly, because it's very important to understand how you're being marked, right? So on this score, you're given a score holistically on a scale from 10 to 160, right? It's in alignment with the Common European Framework of Reference, which is the CEFR. Uh, right, it is a holistic score, which means it's an overall score. It's not broken down into sections, in contrast to IELTS or exam in which you get a different band for reading, writing, etc. So here you're going to get one common score, right? So you won't be, separately marked on different sections. Also in this test, the sections are not segregated, right? You've seen the listening, the speaking, the writing, they're all coming, all together. There's no set pattern in which they're going to occur. That is why the holistic score is there. Also, you can actually, you know just see your what is the university requirement. Whichever university you're applying to has will have given a score requirement on the website. Or maybe if you're finding any difficulty, maybe you can reach out to us, we'll help you with that. But you have to understand what is the score that you need to get, and that is how you will plan out your study, right? Also, later on in this lecture, we will try to understand and correlate the IELTS score with the Duolingo score, as well as the TOEFL score with the Duolingo score. Okay, so understanding the scoring pattern. So if you get a score between 10 to 55, which means you have a very, very basic English, language ability, you can share straightforward information, and that's correct, right? You can express on something that you are clear about, right? Next is 60 to 85. You can understand main points of a speech or a writing, right? Which can be work or school, which means it can be more professional, can have a lot more details, right? You can describe your experiences, ambitions, opinions, right? Although it won't be in a flow, it would be with some hesitation. Next, score range is 90 to 115, which means you're fulfilling almost all communication gaps. You can speak on topics, you can write on topics, right? And you are fairly proficient, right? So that is what it means. If you get a score between 120 to 160, it means you have a very, very good English basis. You're really proficient, you're almost professional, right? And you can do all kinds of professional writing, speaking, right? So that's what it means. I hope, most of you students who have taken this course will actually land up with a score between 120 to 160. So fingers crossed on that. So let us actually now compare. Since most of you students, I believe, but most of the students who we were concerned about were actually students who have to give Duolingo because they have already, got some offers, and or their applications are, quite near. So they need to fulfill all the proficiency requirements, and they were actually preparing for IELTS and TOEFL. But since everything has been closed down due to COVID-19, they couldn't, go about giving their tests. And now with the universities demanding, they have to go for the Duolingo test as suggested by the universities, right? But it is very important for them to understand how the TOEFL and Duolingo is, actually related, so that they can just judge themselves. If you were giving IELTS mock test before or TOEFL mock test before, you can judge yourself how you're going to score in the Duolingo test, right? Okay, so first of all, most of the items on the Duolingo are relatively brief, unlike TOEFL, right? So TOEFL is a very explicit exam. There's a lot of details, a lot of subjectiveness, right? But you would have seen in all the question types that you've seen so far, most of the items are very short, right? It's like one sentence and you have to type it out. It's just hearing a word and selecting it, just reading a word and selecting if it's correct, right? It does not involve you reading a lot of paragraphs or writing longer paragraphs. Very quick and crisp, right? So that is a difference between TOEFL and Duolingo. Also, TOEFL focuses on scenarios you're likely to encounter in the real world, particularly in academia, right? So TOEFL and even IELTS exam, they in terms of the reading, writing passages, they give you a question which is quite related to academic context, so that it will also help you, once you reach to your dream university and you start your study there. While the Duolingo, it's not like that. It is about not just about the day-to-day proficiency, but also about some vocab, right? So that you would have seen a lot of words. One thing that scares the student is choosing the correct word, listening to the words and marking the correct ones, because they haven't heard most of this words out of that list, right? But that is why we're exactly here, so don't worry. After you finish this 4-day class, you will see that you have a whole access to a lot many practice tests where we have arranged everything for you. We have made a study plan for you, so you don't have to anything. You don't have to even Google about Duolingo. After this, you'll have every knowledge, every bit of knowledge with you. So anyhow, going forward, TOEFL divides question by the section which we have discussed, right? While the Duolingo, it's not been scattered into different sections. It is a continuous exam combining all the sections, right? So TOEFL is primarily a computer-based test, right? But it's not adaptive, right? So difficulty of questions doesn't have anything to do with you answering the questions, right? While the Duolingo test, it's adaptive, right? And it's throughout the test. So the questions keep on changing basis how you have answered the exam so far. So if I say here's a quick comparison table between the Duolingo score and the TOEFL score, right? So if you see, if you had been getting 50 to 55 in TOEFL, your score on Duolingo becomes 80, right? Let's move on to a more holistic range, since most of the students would be getting a score between, I believe, this range or this range, right? Basically, these are the more common ranges, right? So this is the Duolingo score that you will get. It is like we discussed, the row 120 to 160 is among the top rows, right? It's the You are one of the top scorers, right? So we'll actually improve in that manner. It actually means you can understand a variety of sentences. You can actually understand the context. If it's academic, it's professional, like any kind of content. So going forward, we have IELTS versus Duolingo. So one great thing about Duolingo is it's all in your comfort zone. You don't have to go anywhere. Whereas in IELTS, it's over a 2-day period, since you have to go to a speaking center, on another day. So it's basically taking 2 days, right? But this is quite simple. It's just going to take 45 to 60 minutes for you to take this exam. Also, both the tests of all 4 areas of language acquisition, but on Duolingo you won't see any long text. Unlike IELTS, where you find long text in the reading section, you have to write longer text in the writing section, right? And this is quite short and crisp, right? The major difference is, again, it's adaptive, right? IELTS exam is not adaptive, and the Duolingo has capacity to evaluate your English skills in a pretty short amount of time, right? So, uh, yeah. Other than this, IELTS is available in both the formats. It's computer and paper based, but Duolingo is it's sitting back at your home and going about the test. So this is the scoring range for the IELTS versus Duolingo. I believe most of you would fall into this range, right? So if you're getting a 6.5 in IELTS, this is the Duolingo score you would be getting. So if you are applying to some university A and you find this is the score requirement, maybe 110, uh, and you were getting 6.5 in your IELTS mock test, that means you're actually on track. You can actually do much better, right? uh, but if you were getting a 7 on the IELTS mock test, and now you've on the Duolingo you practice or mock, you get 95 to 100, it's actually quite poor. That is how you can make an analysis, right? So I hope this overall lecture of understanding the exam pattern, understanding the different type of questions that you're going to face was quite insightful. And I hope to see you another lecture. Take care.